bonanza kwenza inkosikazi ubengo wami umfazi sithandane sithandane cause I've always loved you kwenza inkosikazi ubengo wami umfazi sithandane sithandane. Oh baby I see ngwezvinu zviri pasi rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi ini ndichako batamo I see ngwezvinu zviri pasi rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi ini ndichako batamo ndichako batamo ini ndichako batamo ndichako batamo ini ndichako batamo ndichako batamo ini ndichako Kachema, kuna kufeta I'm mad by the way I know kuchita Every day achingo kuchita My chicks akawana achingo mubipa WhatsApp yanela code Ukafunza no kunjenga konge pothole Not today you be standing on the crossroads You can change your life It's time that I make it right Bonanza kwenza inkosikazi Ubengo amumfazi Sithandane sithandane Cause I've always loved you Wenza inkosikazi Ubengo amumfazi Sithandane sithandane. Oh baby I see ngwezvinu zviri pasi rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi ini ndichako batamo I see ngwezvinu zviri pasi rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi ini ndichako batamo ndichako batamo 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 ndichako batamo ndichako batamo. Bana, it's Cook. Listen, babe. I remember the first time and place when I saw the smile on your face. I knew from that time that though you weren't mine, I wanted you in my embrace. And now that I got the chance, I got to make my advance. Cause you only live once, you know what I want. Baby, it takes two to dance. Oh baby, I see no way, she no she pasi. Rudo wangu warusirwa nasi. Ini ndichako batamo. Oh baby, I see no way, she no she pasi. Rudo wangu warusirwa nasi. Ini ndichako batamo. Ndichako batamo. 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 Ini ndichako batamo. Vanumenda katoida nzenze yoyo Dorara mira nzenze yoyo Kia inaita ndiko senze yoyo Chero mukati nzenze yoyo Vanoreva nema Vanovenga hameno ndezvavo Ndati vanoreva nema Vanovenga hameno ndezvavo Haushaye matimba Nzira ine minzwa umo Mune matimba umo Ari kufamba Haushaye matimba Nzira ine minzwa umo Mune matimba umo Mune matimba Muranda kani Shavera ko irire kutambisa apa Rinode 50 magate Zvikaramba 60 70 magate Muranda kani Shavera ko irire kutambisa apa Rinode 50 magate 50 zvikaramba 60
Friday the 9th of August, Bala Kira at Birmingham, Urban Grooves meets Dancehall. Asiko Ahako, Walala Wasala.
And welcome once again to tonight's edition of the Diaspora Agent Question with me, your host, Carole Nyakudya. And I do hope that you've had a really good day wherever that you've been today. And of course, today we continue on a very different tip with the conversation that we were having in the last few days. And we've opened up the show there with Mr. Chisale. Mr. Chisale has been sending shivers. And I mean, that guy is so funny, isn't he? And he's he put his own rendition there of XQ Nzenza Iyo. And if you're just joining us, Zingwe, how are you? And welcome to the program. Sarah Mpofu, how are you? Tete Marcel, how are you? Mamo Masue, welcome to the program. Miranda Kawere, welcome to the program. And the Gamuchirai office, welcome to the program. Tariro Chasi, how are you? And welcome to the program. That's very gracious of you, Tariro. And welcome to the program. Mercy Wilkes, how are you? And welcome to the program. Okay, guys, so tonight the conversation that we're having is slightly different, a very slightly different topic. I mean, it's still the same topical issue that was raised by the couple of the season, couple of the day. But what we have been having today is a lot of people getting in contact, some through anxiety and some just maybe expressing my issues, our experience, with regards to, nyaya dzemapepa. I suppose nyaya olinda nachaita yakatiunzira a question, an elephant in the room, which is the big issue yenyaya yemapepa. So as we have the Diaspora Agent Question today, what we are doing is to be able to look at this issue yemapepa and actually look at it in terms of which, okay, if you are actually someone who has been experiencing domestic violence, if you joined us last night, you will know that we were saying, okay, inyaya irikuitika pakati paulinda nataitan asi panogonanga paine vamwe vari kutozviexperiencewo kuda vamwe vasingakwanisi kuuya kuzotaura publicly. And of course, then we have been hearing quite a few people vachikwanisa kuuya vachibvunzawo mibvunzo yavo. So tinagweta nhasi, we've got a lawyer with us in the form of Mr. Bebe of Njomani Law, who is based in Luton. And Mr. Bebe will be talking to us today. Mr. Bebe's firm in Luton deals with a lot of diaspora communities, not just the Zimbabwean diaspora community. We actually had to pull a few strings in order to be able to get him on the show tonight. And so he deals with a very wide diaspora community. And so we want to be able to speak to Mr. Bebe today with regards to nyaya dzemapepa. So kuti kana ukangombe experience a domestic violence, can you actually get mapepa? And of course, any other issues that have to do with stationery, today is your day. And let's have that conversation. Mr. Bebe, hello and welcome to the Diaspora Agent Question.
Hello.
How are you, Mr. Bebe?
I'm very well indeed, and hello to everybody.
Fantastic. And so, nyaya pakufamba kwakuita nyaya yemusikana handizikana mama iri nyaya mama unawo imise magweta munenge muri busy muchitaza munenge muchiita, but handizivi kuti inyaya manga maonawo here nyaya yebaba namai Nkomo yekuti vaNkomo vazenge vachitaura ivo kuti kuda pakaitwa nyaya yedomestic violence, and what has now transpired is kuti his issue has now gone to the police, and of course the police are looking into that situation. Someone like Mr. Nkomo in that situation, who is claiming that they have experienced domestic violence, or who has actually experienced domestic violence but is on a dependence visa. What is their legal position, and what kind of support can they get?
Right. Now, his legal position, from what I understand, of course, in this case, is just extracting the bare bones of it, the details. Of course, I'm not privy to those, but just extracting what we hear or what I've heard seems to be quite a typical case, in that I've picked up that Mr. Nkomo as an example. Since it's in the public domain, I guess I can mention the name. Otherwise known as TT, Titan, married to Osi, Olinda Chapel. And from my understanding is that he came to the UK as a spouse, on a spouse visa. Now, that is one of the probably primary or typical case that has got special provisions in terms of addressing my paper, they leave to remain if, because as it is now, it's very possible that unless there is a resolution, the Home Office would be jumping in if they know to say the terms of his leave as a partner, stroke spouse, stroke husband is probably in danger of being breached. In that, it cannot be said, there's separation, and the police are involved, there's domestic violence. Either way, even as a victim or as a perpetrator, the sum total is that the spousal visa is in danger of being breached. So that affects, say, somebody in the position of Mr. Nkomo.
Okay, so
Yes.
So I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Perhaps, obviously, you've made inferences through the issue of the spousal visa. And if there's someone who's here today who's listening into you, we may as well take the opportunity in order for the wider diaspora community to be able to learn and to understand. If someone is here and they have a partner who is abroad and they are wanting to get a spousal visa, what is the process and what is it that they need to be able to do? And documentation and all this in order that they can actually get a spousal visa.
Here. Okay, okay, we can broaden into that, and I would be very brief. Obviously, as usual, I always say here we're just talking generally what applies to everyone, and the advice is get legal advice for detailed cases, specific cases that actually are relevant to each person. But generally, to your question. So, first of all, there are for spouses or partners who, because the law, the rules widen now. It's no longer sort of husband-wife, but it can also be partners and also civil relationships. It's a modern thing, in other words, within the LGBT community. Right. The first thing is to establish that and prove that there is a relationship. They have met, they formed a relationship, and the evidence of that, communication, and any other things which shows an exchange that the relationship is actually genuine and is actually now a living organ. That's very important.
So you have to prove that is fake relationship. Saka zvinoprova kuti vanhu muri kudanana zvinhu zvakaita sei semapicture sei
yakadii. It's true. My pictures, right, at different times, of course, kind of very separate. They may not have my pictures together, but if there is an exchange through, the media, my shots of picture exchange, or during holidays, which might be, of course, not as occasional, but those pictures, wherever they would have made, it might be Kudapam Chato or any other time they help. But now one of the things I have found very useful is, for instance, Skype messages like this, either my text, where you can have a record. But one of the easiest, which I find I recommend, is WhatsApp messages.
Okay.
WhatsApp messages is because we're not going to have a printout. You can have a whole book of
okay.
Yeah. The only problem, of course,
would be useful in trying to get visa.
Oh, yes, because that shows my communication, tells that the nature of communication. Of course, there will be other conversations in there that's irrelevant. But that at least it gives a whole lot of, proof, objective, which is to print to record yacho, and probably with some translations, because naturally people will be communicating in a language, Shona, whatever. So we may translate some of those, right? So that to establish a relationship is genuine. People have met, have spoken, and there is, and then there is a living relationship. So the other point, negative, and that's usually may affect a lot of people, financial requirement. This sponsor in particular,
Your financial requirement yakamira sei semoti a lot of people vanoshanda kana semanesi handiti or social workers and whatever, and they work as self-employed. Can they prove kana uri kuda kunza mukomana wako kana kunza musikana wako from abroad, unofanira kunge what do you need financially kana kuti you need what do you actually need kuti uprove it?
Okay, what you need is proof of the source of income. Now if it is self-employed, it all depends. If you so I've seen, well, I've done recent one where they structured, although they have a company, but they also, if it's limited, and then they'd already instituted a proper payee system within that, although they are shareholders, but run my pay slips and everything, so they can use employee section. But can I go self-employed? I think I can't remember the particular category for taxes, where where they are given maridzawone, it might be, there may be pay slips or it might be invoices or remittances. Cross digital agencies, so and so. They can use those.
Okay.
They can use those. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Because otherwise, my accounts,
Okay.
Accounts, yeah.
So then if we move on then, and then kana ukange wakwanisa kuwana visa rako remunhu wako, and then now you're kunoga, and then matanga ugara mese potanga kuita issues within your relationship or whatever, and then the other person begins to claim kuti ndikuitwa abuse, whether it is whatever it is, munhu iyeye legally where do they stand? Mapepa ake anenge akamira sei? What happened?
If we jump the to more or less, suppose there is a case of domestic violence on, let's say, the one anima people relying on the relationship. Of course, there must be a trail. Things go to a point where they sought help. And the first help is the domestic violence section, the police.
Okay.
Poitama report, and might be several reports. And then they are seeking also advice from other agencies, Paitema reports, you see, because there have been cases where they say so, but for some reasons, Apana report, Apana chi, well, we don't have enough evidence that this happened. So it's very important to do that if there's a genuine case, because there is their safety as well. Because, of course, domestically, the only problem is what they saw, people will only go to these places, canapine violence, physical. And
okay.
Domestic violence goes beyond just violence, although violence is the main thing. And that's the main thing where people respond to, because obviously the threat is real to somebody. But there are other ways where there is control, there are threats, deprivation of my rights, controlling maridzavanu, opportunities, movement, restriction, and all the rest of it. So once that is established, Painema reports, there must be objective or one later, like in the case at times the police are involved. So those reports, then it is possible. And I think there must be a position usually where the person are threatened, are at risk, is moved out from the risk situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Right.
Now.
And Tore.
So once that is the case, then obviously straight away seek legal advice from immigration practitioner, solicitor, and all that. It's very, very important. Also, in addition to seeking relevant help, maybe the social services, especially in terms of if they say Joanna Mamari, the primary care. I know in the case of Mr. Nkomo, probably he can just go himself because but sometimes children are also involved where the victim has to move. Kunema organizations also which helps victims of domestic violence is approaching those. And then through legal help, approach the Home Office.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, that's once the Home Office is involved. Obviously, what will happen is that most likely they will curtail the leave in engagement. But then that should be done at the same time for application. There is an initial application in it temporary for 3 months. Usually that is meant to access public funds, accommodation, maybe some kind of benefit. And then during that time, provide application for indefinite leave to remain.
Right. Okay. And perhaps that is the process. So what I also would like for us to be able to do is obviously get an opportunity to welcome anybody that is joining us, everybody that's joining us tonight. And Linda Rose Tiedza, welcome to the program. Tino Chantel, welcome to the program. Zuzingwe, welcome. Fred Wolo Tawengwa, welcome to the program. Antina Fred ini danzwa nekurohwa nemudzimai, danzwa nekurohwa Fred, danzwa nekurohwa nemukadzi. Antina Lawrence Mpedzisi, how are you and welcome to the program. Lawrence Tendai Magina, welcome to the program. I know someone who went through the same thing. It did not work for him. So that's what Tendai is saying there. So I'll get back to you with regard to that. Ella Moyondizo, how are you, Ella? Eva Joinia Wonga, how are you? Okay. Saka, now I also want us to get an opportunity on the platform. If you have and you're listening in today and you also have an immigration issue, perhaps that you would like an answer to quite briefly on the platform today, and a way you go to anxieties, maybe this particular situation, unravel a lot of anxieties with regards to immigration issues. If there's any immigration issues that you are also feeling that you need to be able to be looking at, perhaps your spouse or yourself who's in kind of difficult situations, then by all means, make sure that you give us a call. The number is the same number if you want to be calling into the studio anonymously, or you can then be able to send a message here. And I think the number will be put up for you. It's the same number that we use all the time. So the number will be put up for you to be able to ring in and ask your questions as we go along. Okay, so a lot of people at the moment, we know in the case of Olinda that her mom is deceased, and she spoke about that quite publicly. But a lot of people are having difficulties at the moment with having to bring their parents over for support. Like Olinda has just had a baby, and the last video where she was holding a baby. Saka, there's not that emotional support in Nigeria available. So if somebody is here on the platform and they're thinking of bringing their parents over to the UK as nurses, what is the process? And is Ramira say,
well, I must say, unfortunately, sadly, the immigration rules have been designed really to limit bringing in adult relatives. First of all, if they are coming really to stay longer than a visit, so the requirements are quite stringent. To some extent, they are more linked to the other way, bringing in a vulnerable as opposed to a vulnerable. So normally in those cases, it's easier to as visitors to start with.
Okay.
So visitors, although it's much easier. It's not easy. Seek advice. Many people not because but because they are not aware of the strict requirements they home office through my embassy.
Okay.
So it's very important to know. I think visitors, because usually my problems are enduring. If the problems are enduring, probably to start with, and then probably there can be other ways. There can be, obviously, we can apply for an extension of that. My application, can apply a compelling compassionate circumstances.
Okay. And so you know, I raised that issue Yevana and that particularly also in light of you know, I suppose the Titan and Olinda situation where Olinda is also claiming that emotionally she's stressed, she's got postnatal depression that's going on, she's got psychological issues that are going on, and she's also claiming with Mumba kitchen and things like that. So where the issues where there's counter claims of domestic abuse, as you know, Famba say also.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue, Ioyo, and there's no one way answer I can give. It's a question of now. Obviously, both of them will raise their issues, you know, and seek some kind of resolution, and then where, of course, Panama accusations of Munaroa, there's an assault. It will be down now to the police assessing the situation, whether it was just simple assault or because domestic violence normally is usually a one-way, one-sided thing where you just have a perpetrator and a victim. Where now these two people who may have had a fight, the reason, you know, although it's domestic violence, but it might be difficult now to rely on that only in terms of immigration, because
I think, you know, the standard definition for domestic violence is all acts of physical, sexual, psychological, or economic violence, and it is
absolutely, but only
Yeah, so the financial abuse element as well is kind of there. I think
that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
There's threats, financial, you know, either control, financial control and coercion. Just exactly as you're saying it exactly, Jaish.
Yes, so you know, it's very easy for people to kind of look at the situation and begin to say, no, but you know, the fact that you kind of from another country spend mari on that person and then they manipulate, that is also violence. That's financial violence, to be honest. That's economic violence, isn't it, really?
No, it is. Yeah. I mean, it is, you know, it has to be examined in violence. So in this case, as you say, looking at how someone, let's say in the position of Olinda, if she has got a genuine case, which will, for some reason, sadly, Titan either reacting to the situation, whatever he thought, and then committed some kind of violence towards her. Of course, that would be a question of the police assessing that, you know, information. From what I heard, the police are investigating to see all the counter, you know, arguments and the counter accusations. So then from there on, there will be other issues, Panama issues, safeguarding Zelana, whether the children are safe, and herself, is she safe? And then looking at his situation as well, from what he says he has also experienced. And then there is, of course, the whole relationship, whether there is room for resolution. In the, you know, so there are many factors which come in here.
Well, because I think what we also forget is mediation and it.
So mediation, that's right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's possible that vanogona kuita, you know, kungevanetsana vofonera kuna home office vozonopasidanana zvinhu vanogona kudzokera here kuhome office kuti aiwa no that was an error zoserai visa zvinoita here.
It's possible, but pakadaro so it is possible. I've got an example of a case like that, and it's been going on for a while, where it depends, of course, on the discretionary casework. This caseworker said, well, you know, we got information, sakat. So we're giving you time, but can there be a resolution? There are two levels of it. Mediation between the two people, and then mediation also in terms of contact nevana, panenge pai nevana. Because that's another element. They can be relationship yanetsa na mai but there's also relationship now. So the Home Office is involved in all those. Okay, social services are involved, the law is involved, from the civil and criminal law, but Home Office is involved in all those sections and on those factors or those relationships.
So discretion visa, it's discretionary.
No. At the moment, the discretionary visas are not as it's still the same, but they're more defined more strictly within my either private and family law, family based rules. Give an example here, Titan, if he can establish, let's say, relationship here corner, God forbid, we would wish them well. Hopefully there can be mediation and resolve. He still can, if he can maintain relationship now, he can still have leave. Is still a spouse or partner, but based on children. It will still be a family life on the basis of being a parent.
Is that one? Does that come from EU human rights?
No, that's separate. Yeah, the principles are the same. The best interest of the children, but but it's separate. Is under appendix FM, and of course the rights of my interest who are caught and are innocent, victims, not so much of violence, but in terms of their life. So Titan Aka, I'm not saying this in any way, taking sides or whatever, but just using that as an example. If he can demonstrate that he maintains a relationship, genuine, subsisting relationship now, then yes, it's possible, to actually get an extension of leave.
Okay, so you can still be able to get an extension of
That's
leave.
Right. In particular, from what I might understand, especially where two things, my British, but also the fact that they are separate because he can't take the children away to say Zimbabwe or wherever, and so yes, definitely he can.
Okay. Also, you won't be able to take Zimbabwe, but he can.
Well, it's not reasonable to expect that, yeah.
Okay, I understand that. All right, and Sakamati, maybe it's possible to okay, look,
but I'll change it,
but as next and we want to restore our relationship and
make sure that but there has to be my evidence. I think I am very strong with this relationship is now genuine and subsistent.
What if you got married, like in a different country? You know what I mean? Like marriage certificate. I always said in the United Kingdom, your marriage certificate was from another country. Like
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter as long as my marriages, if they are marriages, can I get by a competent state institution, and competent laws are not there, it's respected throughout the world. Doesn't matter where it took place. But again, they don't just look at the paper evidence. They also look at the relationship itself, is even personal charge. Personal charge, relationship has been there, at least minimum 2 years.
All right, okay. So even personal charge, there's a marriage bill here.
Yeah, that can go, but it has to be 2 years.
All right, okay. So that has to be 2 years. All right, okay. I didn't know that, but you can still be able to get visa on Snapchat.
Oh yes, that's right.
Oh. Okay, I thought was just
inequalities. That's why I was saying that actually you find that most of these they prefer to partner relationships. They were supposed to say spouse so that you don't discriminate. If they may not be married in the terms of a certificate, but they also.
So what you're saying is good. Single, mkomana single, munhu vodanana for 2 years umari kuzimbabwe mwari kuno but vasina kuchata vakaprova relationship yavo vanogona kuwana mavisa. You're joking.
I'm serious.
Vatanga vachate.
No, it's not necessary. Can I chat? Obviously, you don't have to wait for 2 years. To some extent, it gives that. You could not always though, because people can get married. They still want to make sure it is genuine. I sham marriage. I say I'm a people.
But I think that
the emphasis is on the relationship.
I think that is actually a breakthrough. Guys, I think listen out there. So, you're listening from Zimbabwe. As a guy who's in Zimbabwe, guys, mawana a way out. As you don't have kutanga warora mwana wevanhu. Wachata naye faith.
And we're not encouraging you to answer, please.
And this thing but would you tell me the guys are not only there and did you can for 2 years, which you prove what no gonna genuine. We're gonna visa, guys. It doesn't mean good
Exactly.
But zvakanaka muchinyatsobatana zvakanaka kusvika matembera mazino kusvika adonha chichi anyway, so back to that one. Okay, so if we're going back to that one, there are some people here who keep coming and they're saying no, yeah, we've been talking about Nyaya Olinda, but then and there are some who are saying these guys Vakomana Weku Zimbabwe, they do this a lot, yeah. And I think today there's been another situation of another couple with my social media as well. Again, the girl is alleging Mkomana wacho akamutorirawo mari again. Wanga vaine this relationship iyo ipadzipa social media dzekuda kupromotana. Saka, but then these guys are in Zimbabwe, so that's a conversation for a different day. But I guess the running theme there is the financial abuse element, which is disregarded by Zimbabwean men. Where they think that it's okay. If you want to be talking to us and giving us your view or asking a question, you can ring the studio on 07825653737, 07825653737. So go ahead and you can then be able to ask your question or share your view or indeed just give your commentary on the situation that we've been faced with over the last few days. Flo Rungonye saying, let Titan communicate by email as per his request, and then this can easily be done whilst he is in the comfort of his luxurious home in Zimbabwe. Okay, so I think that she's talking about a different issue here that they are having that conversation about. But if you are joining us, my name is Carole Nyakudya. This is the Diaspora Agent Question. Tonight we're joined by Mr. Welcome Baby of Njomani Law, and we're looking at the situation with regards to Nyaya Mapepa, the stationary, where you have an inter-country relationship, and also then in terms of particularly around Nyaya domestic abuse. So, where do people go for help with regards to Nyaya domestic abuse?
Well,
yeah.
Of course, the first, I would say the first thing, the problem, which is, sorry.
No, go ahead. Hello, caller, just hold on for me while our guest just finishes his sentence and I'll get to you. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Baby.
I think it's to seek help as early as possible. Because usually, probably, the beginning of it may not necessarily be physically. Then, as someone was saying, and then the next thing, the next thing is the real one. The next thing is empowerment. Then the next thing it escalates. So it's not to allow it to keep up. So seek, sometimes it's also, if we take away our grounds for law and all the rest of it, but even within the law, taking the principle of mediation is highly regarded at all levels. So which kind of court question before you get in with the divorce, they want to know if you You can do it at community level, my church level, yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We've got a caller in the studio. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? Dribo Magadi yenyu? Mononzani muri kufona muripi? All right, okay. What's your contribution? Taurizing?
I don't know, mom story I don't know how you see it.
This also.
We have imports. Kuti uyu akanga asina chirwere kana kuti mukadzi iye akanga anacho asina kutaurira mumwe here uya murume abva azoona benten abva azoona kuti uyu akumwa maningi
mapirits.
Yeah, no. And then vakarwa there was a breakdown in relationship.
Right. Okay. Saka so zvamuta ndezvekuti pakaitika relationship musikana ndobva anoimporta Ben 10 kubva kuZimbabwe. Ben 10 meaning a younger man. And then only for the younger man to arrive into the country and then find that this woman is actually HIV positive and is on pills, and then they ended up so your question is around Guti panyayema paper yemkomano inofamba sei?
Yeah,
right. Mazinzwa
dazinzwa
we call it domestic abuse.
Domestic abuse.
Yeah, it can come on that, and I think in that case, the importee, the Kanari Murume kana Mukadzi has got a case, I think a legitimate case, because also, innocently or not, it can also even raise a criminal case against the other part. Getting into a relationship, intimate relationship, without informing the other person, so that the other person has a choice. It depends again, because we're dealing with people here, whether they can resolve that situation to the point why she did so, whether he can come to a point where I forgive and they make up. If not, the man, in this case, it can be a woman as well, I think has got a clear case here, domestic abuse there, which again can report Kuma Porisa for them to investigate. Not necessarily that they will prosecute the other part, but at least my facts will be, at least they have been looked at by the law. And that I think can found a case here, leave under the domestic violence rules.
Right, okay. Mazins wakakola?
Yeah,
and Saka, you can. All right, then. Thank you very much. Okay, and so if you are just joining us, my name is Carole Nyakudya. This here is the Diaspora Agent Question, and we have been speaking there to Mr. Welcome Bebe of Njomani Law, and Mr. Bebe is based in Luton. And of course, then the scenarios are coming in, and different scenarios over different domestic abuse scenarios, and what people can do and where they can go in order that they can receive help. If you are in a situation like this, what kind of support that you can get in the community in as far as the legal support and the emotional and psychological support. So Kunema domestic abuse, third sector parties as well, other than the legal route. So obviously, it's calling the police. First of all, it's about awareness, isn't it? And understanding awareness. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm in a domestic abuse type of situation. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier on, and I was saying, you know what, I think now mu community medu nyaya ye awareness perhaps yavapo, but chakunetsa in my own view is kuti zoni kusumuka kubva mu relationship chinhu chinonetsa. That's what
that's it. That's the point.
Kusumuka mu relationship chinhu chakatonyatsooma. You know, even if you realize kuti, you know what, this relationship for me is no good, maybe pane ma financial issues are kuitika, there's some emotional issues are kuitika, whatever issues you've identified that there's domestic abuse that's going on, but to actually break off a Zimbabwean marriage is still a big challenge. Kutanga kufunga nyaya dzekuti vana, a lot of people now in these ages, people are now in their 40s, 50s, and then you start to think, oh my God, I'm being abused at 50 or at 45, and people start to worry, isn't it? Worry about, you know what, if I leave this particular situation, am I going to have someone else? Is someone else going to be interested in me? And will that person actually be someone who is a genuine person? Yeah. I'm coming towards the dawn of my days. Is it better to go to situation and can you understand? Those kind of things. It a problem, but not necessarily domestic abuse. I think, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, those of you that are listening. But I think yeah. And so, and this is what from a legal perspective, any advice that you can kind of be able to give one guy to say, other than phone police and everything, I think emotionally and psychologically, my situations in my mental healthness and things and this. But if professional or anything like that, sometimes even professionals and public figures, as we have seen in this situation, we also had you've been doing this, you've been doing this, and I was quiet for a long time. But there's nothing to
yes.
And it's also my marriages, as we were going on at Chikura, Vaskana Tai was going to Tufana Pimbikazin, which is what also caused a lot of outrage over Olinda and the way that she's responding. Because subconsciously, we can accept domestic violence. We can accept that men can be irrational. We can accept that we can accept that we can accept that a small house.
Yes, and no, I can say that, you know, I mean, obviously, I know you mentioned from a legal point of view that it's not exclusively legal. The legal aspect of it as a resolution, and probably it should be when everything else has been tried or things have escalated so far that it becomes unsafe, you know, and all other ways have been explored. And as you say, I think it's creating awareness. And again, sometimes it's probably, especially among Zimbabweans, maybe, is the overall, in some sectors, in somewhere people are isolated, or the people want to be isolated. Creating Panama communities are much closer, like in other societies, Asian and all that. Some of these things can be resolved very, very quickly within families, before it actually. And then, of course, also, so really addressing some of understandable philosophies about family structures. Zvakanzi matenga, you know, dzimba matenga and all that kind of thing. And all the rest of it. Yes, you know, there are issues which we say, of course, it's not for. But when it comes to issues that they are developing into some form of abuse, it's better to consult somebody, get to somebody, family, church, a friend.
To be honest, Mr. Bebe, I have a friend. When she was going through a situation and dating, she told us for years. She told us, you know what, the situation is going from Ramusha. But you know, Maseko's at Ningetirika, tinouya publicly totaurirana chokwadi kuti you know what, yes, ukaona abuse chichichi, walk away. But truth be told, munhu ukanyatsosimudza foni ukataura kuti guys, murume wangu chakati chiri kunyatsoitika, kana kuti guys, mukadzi wangu zveshuwa zvakati zviri kuitika, hapana munhu muzimbabwe anonyatsokudza kuti simuka enda izvozvo kunyepa. People won't do that. Yeah. People won't automatically say to you, leave him. No, people always say, gara ipapo, chimbofunga, wafunga vana here, wafunga mamugejere, wafunga chichichi. Can you see what I'm saying? Yes. So we keep talking about these domestic violence or domestic abuse situations, but we are leaving the elephant in the room in terms of our culture. Our culture right now, why Nyaya Olinda na Titan irkuita such a big issue is because people are saying she's throwing a linen out in the open. But you know that abuse mentality yoyo. Yekuti suswan, we cannot even accept kuti munhu ari kuya kuzotaura ma issues ake publicly. It's complete taboo to us kuti munhu ari kuya kuzotaura publicly. Publicly yako mazano social media handete. But kudhara pamwe dai Olinda kana dai agara kana kuti kumbare kana kwaifrids. Pamwe angadai akapinda murodhi akapopota nerodhi akaenda mberi kwerodhi akadzika akape. Can you see what I'm saying? Yes. Anogara achifamba up and down, hapana munhu anomuteerera, handiti munonzwisisa. So the only people anogona kuwana kuti akwanise kuya kuzotaura ndiwo masocial medias, ndo mafacebook streets iwaya. Ino ndo yacho Robert Mugabe weino ndo yacho.
I mean that's it. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Robert Mugabe weino. But if unoona munhu achita hasha dzakaomarara kuti hanzi, why are you talking about these things? Why are we still on this topic? Why are we still talking about this topic? As you and you can't even see anything. Can you see what I'm saying?
No, I see it absolutely, and I think platforms like this, I really, raise my hand to platforms like this at Zimbo Live and other, Facebook and other live, where people meet. We should raise this thing. The churches and other communities, whether they should talk about this. Let's be open and break some of these, mythical kind of old-fashioned ways. Obviously, I mean, we don't say, then they should rush out and go to the police and all that, unless if a crime is being committed, which, is faced with. But it's true, it shouldn't be tolerated. It shouldn't be dismissed. That's where they are, that's how it is. No, it must be dealt with. Yeah, in terms of mediation, bringing people together, people trying to, encourage change. And obviously, if a crime is committed, especially in terms of assault, that must be faced straight away.
That's right. So
the law must take its course.
Escalator. So I've got someone here who's saying this lady Netai Grinia Limbani Mashiri is saying, Carole, take your words back. What is wrong with Highfields Ombari? The reason why I give Highfields Ombari as an example is because in Intrimuno Chumbiza and Diti. It's also Chumbiza. Panama Baba to Garapati, Papa Pate Garesus and Diti. Baba Wait for Basavari stressed out. When for Buddhism was a radio, open Ziga. What worries but he reads aloud.
Yeah, it's that open kind of thing. Yeah, that's right. That's the example is quite appropriate.
I'm not normalizing that, but I'm saying people had ways in which they could express themselves. So if we now get shocked, when these kind of things are happening. It's because the situation that we are now living in is now different.
It's different, yeah. It's very different. It's even more dangerous here because of isolation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And someone like Anozani, like Titan, they go to Zimbabwe. Come on, go into America,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and check that.
This time the pins up fix. And
it's true. It's true. Kana hiyo sisorinda probably waifonera wakadaidza utete kana mainini kana sekuru wame kuti tunasiri kufamba zvakanaka iye wotaura something. Now we don't have those kind of community or even familial mediation channels.
Yes.
So people are just isolated, and then maybe sometimes they've created an image of admiration, so which things now explode because there's this thing also, especially when Marie kind of media figures where they have to maintain a particular public profile.
Yeah. So you know what? This thing, it makes you really think. Supposing in me personally, if I was to personalize something like this, if I was having a difficult situation with my own relationship or something like that, and everyone in the world would have an opinion about it. And so because of that, I would probably either keep quiet, no feeling.
That's probably it's true. That's how. Yes.
You know what, guys? I think it's important for us to be able to understand what culture change. And I think on the legal route, like you're saying, there's a middle bit, the mediation. On the legal route.
Oh yes, it's it's incorporated in the procedures. They say there must be evidence that some mediation has been initiated and they've gone through. Then things proceed. Yeah.
That's right. And so we must allow for ourselves to say, to express and also understand the culture, change. And if you think back, things don't remain the same. There was a generation that moved from Kumaruzeva, ikapinda matown, ikachinja, ikaadapta matown. Ikabva marokesheni, ikapinda kumasuburb, vakachinja vakaadapta. Vanhu vavazosumuka vaenda mudiaspora. So it's about culture yedu.
It's dynamic. Yeah, it's not static. Yeah, it's true.
It's dynamic. All right, so I've got another caller for you, Mr. Bebe. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm not going to say my name, but my name is Christina and I'm calling from Bangladesh.
Hi, Christina. What's your contribution?
My contribution is just to ask Mr. Bebe, if a person has come or touching Titan or Chia fire to because it's family like what then happens if my social situation is pamwe baba wazotora mwana weekend or mwaro wamwana wako masocial sekutwa iye munhu akavachita akagarira vana wavo
iye wacho akagarira vana obva azorova vana vacho uyo mubvunzo Mr. Bebe.
Right. Let me get that, hello sis. Arova mana aita assault or abuse mana ndeupi. Let's get the and I'm sure with gratitude take the example Yatina of our public figures Titan and Olinda. Who are you saying? Just as an example, it's not what they did. It's not what we're just using as an example because at least one zero. Well, I'm not Azoroa Manandiania.
Titan African over Tora Mana over Noroa Mananati over Muroatko.
And I'm going to so that's another even serious thing. Yeku Roamana, abusing a child, assaulting mana is a criminal thing. In that case, Titan cannot rely on that child because obviously all agencies must be involved. The police will be involved, and immediately the social services will be involved, and most likely that child will be for safeguarding removed from him, and their contact probably won't even be allowed. So he cannot rely on that child for purpose.
Okay,
that's not possible. Yeah, of course, I'm saying looking at it crudely on that. Okay, I'm not saying a specific case, but generally, that person, because it will no longer be a genuine relationship. Neither is it subsisting. So it's not the relationship in terms of there must be a genuine relationship, a normal relationship, parental relationship. But can apply abuse that usually excludes that. and that cannot be relied on. Because it- Mhm. Yeah. That's even more serious. That part, if the part, in order to rely on a family, on the family basis, which one my paper, it's very highly unlikely that they would get my paper on that basis.
Okay, thank you so much, Masha.
No tender. Thank you.
So there you have it. Then a situation where you are guided on my paper. You've now your reason for staying in the United Kingdom is the child, and then you are biting the hand that feeds you. You first of all, that is a visa. Then second of all, kunyangwe mwana akakushatirisa zvakaita sei never iwo beta kutotiza iwewe kana kuti unorowa mwana you know what I mean.
Yes.
So let's just see if we can get a couple more questions here. And if you're just joining, as I say, my name is Carole Nyakudya, and we're speaking tonight to Mr. Berry of Njomani Law in Luton. And we're speaking about the legal aspects pertaining to my relationships importer, but also then in my issues domestic violence and the implications for your UK visa. As I say, if you are just joining, this is the Diaspora Agent Question right here on Zimbo Live TV with me, Carole Nyakudya. John, my passport, Kanjan, how are you? My Alistair, how are you? Mel, how are you? And Angeline Roverez Change, how are you doing? Susan Mason, how are you doing? And Marcy Wilkes is saying, using kids you don't like or don't want to have my paper should stop. Just apply on other grounds. Kids are being used for my paper. So there's another perspective that kids are actually being used for my paper. What's your view with regards to that?
Now, yes, if kids are being used for my paper without evidence, it would depend actually a genuine relationship. I mean, ways we accept an adult and one of my paper because of the kids. The idea if it's proven by assessment, by evidence, it's in the best interest of the child, not of the adult and other my paper. And it can only be on the basis of assessing my factors, actually. There will be independent reports. Mostly they will want my reports from, it depends which independent objective other people, professionals are involved. Kana mwana necessary kuchikoro, they will want to see somebody, by English according to their records, them parent wacho or the other parent are actively involved mu penyu we mwana. We are looking at mwana. Yes, they will benefit. We understand that, I mean, there's always a corollary benefit, but it cannot be personal evidence. It's in the best interest of the child. Yes, they benefit. We understand that, but it must be in the best interest of the child.
Okay, so maybe just some direct questions with regards to this particular public case. Does Olinda then have a legal right to cancel Titan's visa in this particular case? And is there a legal route to do that?
Generally, oh yes. Now, the first thing she can do is, I'm not advising you to do that, she can inform the Home Office if she come to a point in which the relationship is no longer subsisting. In other words, the relationship again, subsisting. In other words, the relationship actually, if that's no longer the case, she has an obligation to inform the Home Office. But and then the Home Office, in that case, they will contact you and give you notice. We have received information.
Okay.
So, either they might give that person a chance to respond. Okay. They think they've got enough facts, they will just curtail, give notice to curtail, but your visa will be curtailed by so-and-so. And then kana uchida kugara wotsvaga dzimwe nzira dzekuaplya, or else chisunga dzako uende, it's okay. Yes, she can do that. Actually, if she comes to that conclusion, I think she is obliged. She's not forced, she's obliged to inform the Home Office.
And what does Titan have going for him at this point with regards to the visa situation? What are the positives for him? If Titan was listening in, over the last few days, I suppose some of the cultural biases are that people, I suppose, tend to kind of look at things from the woman's perspective and not necessarily from the men's perspective as such. And even though inferences are made to kind of support the situation with the man, perhaps it's not as much as the woman's perspective. But if Titan was listening into any of these conversations that we are having and he was getting increasingly anxious, he's been experiencing domestic violence, he's been going through or whatever difficult situation in this relationship that he was in. He's in a foreign country, perhaps he's away from my friendship groups, and also in terms of like identity, in Zimbabwe he would have been a celebrity. It's a smaller place, so everywhere that he would walk, people would be able to know him. Kumupo my favors, maybe to say, but he kind of loses that celebrity status in its true meaning by coming to the UK and being displaced, and all of that transition has happened to him as a man. And then maybe also someone who, it's more difficult for him to be able to express his feelings. We've seen a lot of my lives that his wife has put out, but very few in terms of expression from him, Pachaki. So if Titan was looking maybe Arikwari or whatever situation that he's going through, and he's hearing people talk about him like that, or the way that people have been talking about him, and he's really contemplating and thinking about what are the reasons, what are the things that could be going right for me right now, what are the positives, what are the things that I could look to. These things can keep me going for a few days, so that we don't end up having a tragedy. Oh, that's
right. Yeah. First of all, I take off the head here or comes Titan. Then he should approach someone. I'm sure he has someone he can talk to, and first of all, then listen to his heart. Can I find any chance certain things can be resolved between Iye and Mzimai, maybe in the long term, but starting from the short term. Sezhoamo even I was saying, well, apana singagadziri ngatsvaga nzira dzokugadziri dzokuti vagadzirisane naiye vachiti, well, I'm just concerned about Manawi, and all that kind of thing. So kana paine any way that can be done with vachifunga kuti they can work together, not straight away, not just walk in, but can I name a genuine grievances so that they can be heard? Because in the end, whichever way, he has got to engage now OC one way or the other. One, to starting a relationship, then relationship, not just working the direct biological child, all the children, it was very best. So seek help, genuine friends, not how. Not just friends who just saying, pana, leave it, this and that, or somebody, or an agenda. But whichever way, he has to engage na Olinda through some mediation, even if it is community mediation, before going to kind of official institutional mediation, because he still has to talk to. What mapepadi. What about Vana? Cannot Mwana? He still needs to maintain a relationship with those, because otherwise, then he might if he's really giving up on all those, then come with my other alternative ways. In other ways, probably find other ways of staying here or leave the country. But I would hope for the sake of the children and probably the sake of the marriage. I'm waiting, guys. And then there's all the media kind of thing. he should open up to somebody. And I'm sure he's doing that. And try to resolve, even if it came to an amicable way of but being able to talk and think about the children. Because all of them is, all those things, although I'm talking about from a community point of view, they've got serious implications in resolving the immigration issue.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying from a community point of view, all those issues that we're talking about have serious implications in resolving the immigration issue.
Yes.
Yes. And I think sometimes we can move away from that and just think it's really frivolous, it's really important, and I don't know which one is only also classify as important people are very quick to say it has no basis, it's not a basis. But
because it doesn't affect him alone, it's affecting the other people in his family. It's affecting children in particular.
Yeah,
it's affecting the children.
Yeah.
Then of course affecting OC. Of course, all right. That's the way she expresses herself out. As you say, actually, probably the way she's talking, it's a parallel of the marriage to this type of thing. Go out there and talk. That's how she's dealing with it emotionally, more or less kind of, I don't know what's the term you use, in the therapeutic circles,
It's venting, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, we have obviously been speaking to you there, Mr. Bebe, with regards to, the legal route and the legal support that our community can be able to have. I know that the topic that we have brought over is based on our socialites in Olinda and Titan. But what we have been doing on the program tonight is advising us as a community on the legal route that you can be able to take and the support that you can be able to take, the pathways that you can be able to take if indeed you are in a domestic abuse situation and not having to kind of stick it out in that way. What would be your final words tonight?
Well, my final word is awareness. Do not ignore any elements or patterns of behavior from your partner, your wife, your husband. Do not ignore. In terms of threatening behaviors, you might say, oh, yeah, I need temper and all the rest of it, controlling, coercion, deprivation. Do not ignore them. Seek to try to resolve it by talking and expressing yourself openly. I know that, as you say, if you are the importee, somebody who's been brought in and has been sponsored, you are more in a vulnerable position. And somehow, the other person is tempted. And sometimes they say it's women who are more tempted if they are wronged. Because yes, I'm the one, I'm the one who's made you, who's brought you, who's done, and that can be demeaning. So again, it is find ways of dealing with that, reaching out so that at least it shouldn't be the way of resolving differences or exploiting each other. Reach out to other people before it gets too damaging psychologically, but ultimately physically. But if it happens and it's unavoidable, then you seek help. Call the police. They've got a way of dealing with this. Initially, sometimes they don't always go to prosecution, the police. They will try to have it to find ways in which even they themselves to get involved. There are domestic violence police who are really, really trained to do that, to help people so that it doesn't escalate into violence. Go to other law centers, go to other agencies, and then of course if it gets really bad, there's all the sanctuary, the women's aid and the sanctuaries where you can go and seek advice. Where children are involved, get to the social workers, They also try to resolve things. All these agencies are not there just to split. And of course, as I say, seek community-based advice as well, churches and other people who can help. And then if all fails, then unfortunately, seek legal help in terms of immigration. Say somebody, one of my colleagues, throw up and down the country to see how that can be helped. Because many times, even myself, where I see that, I try to do some kind of mediation, try to bring people together, because it's more important than just to say, okay, split, come, yeah, we can do this. But where children are involved as well, it's very important. The welfare of children is paramount to look at. But also that, I just want to say, it's much easier to talk about spouses who have come in because the domestic violence, rules seems to work very well. But there are also some who probably the relationship has started here, not important, and they get into that. And then they got into the relationship when they were married here. Now, it's more complex there. You need legal advice in terms of immigration as well, because it doesn't apply directly advantageously as much as it does for somebody who came in, who was sponsored to come in, imported, as you said.
Fantastic. And Mr. Bebe there from Jomani Law. And if you want to be contacting Mr. Bebe for any further advice, you can contact him on United Kingdom 07515 357130. 07515 357130. Okay, so when we are dealing with issues like this that seemingly appear frivolous, that seemingly appear senseless, that seemingly appear like we are wasting time, therein is the gem that makes our society. Right in there is actually the gem, the root of our society. The things that shock us, that, we look at and we say, Muzimba, Arvita Zakati, Muzimba, Arimujeri, Muzimba. That is the gem of what makes us as a community. It is important that when we hear, Kanari Titan Arbutindatsikwa, Kanari Olinda Arbutindatsikwa, as symbolism, not necessarily to do with these two people as individuals, but as symbolism of our communities. When we hear of things like that, as a community, we can be a responsive community. We can be a community that looks after each other. We can be a community that is not stagnant, that we can be a community that is dynamic, that can be supportive, that can stop some of the things that were cultural norms for us as we were growing up. Because something was done a certain way does not mean it has to remain that way.
Sure.
Our communities, as Mr. Bebe was saying, are not stagnant. And so, Nyaya Titan and Olinda, whichever way that it ends up, we are neither Team Titan nor Team Olinda. We are Team Marriage. We are Team Unity. We are Team Zimbabwe. Whichever way that those two decide to resolve each other, the most important thing is that us as a diaspora community, wherever that we are, must continue to have good emotional, psychological, financial, physical well-being, free of domestic abuse, free of abusing each other, relationally or otherwise. You will continue to talk wherever that you are in your closed doors, and some people will continue to talk about this issue, and maybe not. But whatever that you do, be your best self. Be the one who's looking out and be your brother. From me, Carole Nyakudya, from Mr. Bebe and Jomani Law, and all of us at Zimbo Live TV, for tonight, we want to appreciate you for being with us during this program. And until next time, from me, Carole Nyakudya, thank you and good night.
Vachatora vachinyora munhu uya atanga ndo unhu wake amumzive vachatora vachisorokudza futi ndo unhu wake amumzivere asi kutaura chokwadi tiendokudaini asi zvawaita izvi imaimire taura chokwadi tiendokudaini asi zvawaita izvi imaimire ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time ndiriyaonyo ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time.
Now let's not talk about the lying, the cheating. I know there was no beating. And you rove mukadzi hazvazimu yangu system. Right, watadzirwa, I see kuti wabumbuka. Shikapaneni wataura wakasununguka. Ba mwana, zhizva maita. Munhu mukuru hamunyarisa maita. Sedhanzi riri panze wakaburitsa maspika. Kuita hunhu wabhoki kurasa dzesitsika. Dzikisa izwi mashoko ari kunzwika. Ukushedzera pane vanhu uchadzamara wapika. Hona manje wataura zvisirizvo. Relationship dead yatopa zviziviso.
Ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time ndiriyaonyo ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time ndiriyaonyo.
Rudo rwemari kana iwe wakarutadza zvinoda vakashinga semazino ekumatadza. Ndiwe here wakuti midziyo yangu, ndiwe here wakuntukira basa rangu. Vanhu venge mastudent akatarisa pabhodhi besekwa nemarombe sedhirama remurodi. Respect hapachina, love hapachina, makisi, masmile nemahaga hapachina. Ndakuenda kunge kombi yazara. I know it's hard, zvinorwadza vasara. Moyo wangu uri empty but nowhere to put you. This is me surrendering, I ain't trying to defeat you.
Ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time ndiriyaonyo ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time ndiriyaonyo ndoenda
I know this will not make my case any better, but it is the cards on the table. I wanted to hurt him the way I was hurting. But no, God, it's me. But you know what?
No.
In me hurting him, with Sir Henry, I did not, God's honest truth from the papari. I just wanted to hurt him. I did not realize. Kuti, I thought I was dropping a bomb. But I did not realize what my bomb was.
Asikutaona chokwadi tiendokudaini asizvawaita izvi imaimire taura chokwadi tiendokudaini asizvawaita izvi imaimire ndoenda katuma type tuma fine tonondipinza so ndoenda unondikwidza blood pressure every time ndiriyaonyo ndoenda katuma type
Tosera mawaitora.
Tora kayo.
Tosera mawaitora.
Bonanza kwenza inkosikazi ubengo wami umfazi sithandane cause I've always loved you. Zawenza inkosikazi, ubengo wami umfazi, sithandane, sithandane. Oh baby, asi, ngwezvinu zviri pasi, rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi. Ini ndichako batamo. Asi, ngwezvinu zviri pasi, rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi. Ini ndichako batamo. Ndichako batamo. 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 Kuchema kuna kufeta, I'm mad by the way I know kuchita. Every day achingo kuchita, my chicks akawana achingo mupipa. WhatsApp yanela code, ukavunza no kunjenga kunge pothole. Not today you be standing on the crossroads, you can change your life, it's time that I make it right. Bonanza kwenza inkosikazi, ubengo wami umfazi, sithandane, sithandane, cause I've always loved you. Zawenza inkosikazi, ubengo wami umfazi, sithandane, sithandane. Oh baby, asi, ngwezvinu zviri pasi, rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi. Ini ndichako batamo. Asi, ngwezvinu zviri pasi, rudo rwangu warusirwa nasi. Ini ndichako batamo. Ndichako batamo. 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 Ndichako batamo. Ndichako batamo. Bana, it's Cook. Listen, babe, I remember the first time and place when I saw the smile on your face. I knew from that time that though you weren't mine, I wanted you in my embrace. And now that I got the chance, I got to make my advance. Cause you only live once, you know what I want. Baby, it takes two to dance. Oh baby, I see no way, no shitty bossy. Rudo wangu warusirwa nasi. Ininde chako batamo. Oh baby, I see no way, no shitty bossy. Rudo wangu warusirwa nasi. Ininde chako batamo. 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 Ininde chako batamo.
Whatever. You guys are a little family majogi whatever she. Don't want to run your man don't see her. It's but fair. I'm going to origin. Massive always. But it's doing both. That's what makes us, isn't it? Nakambo, then analyst some scanner on my vuku, Nikazosiana naye transport ya nyanyunet ndaimu tamba na rosi aikara kuchipinge kwenda karambira tsika dzekuninye ya nechindau askana vive nationwide vese vari vangu sisle bulawayo aifarama ice cream mumwe hari kugwanda ingoda zvokufonerwa kamskana kekugweruka ingoda zvokubvaira neni hendo danastana efikaisini before but vaisabhita mskana wangu kumasvingo aindi chita sababa chindipa raisi rine dovi daizo sisirwa mvura nemskana wangu kwa mutoko ondi kwesha musana chindikwenura musoro kamskana kekubhindura kaiwanza zvepolitics aizo chanta slogan tiri pakati perudo zvana viva nana aluta continue haiwa
type yakanaka netype inerudo, type dzakasimba netype dzine chido, type dzinofadza kuremexira kanokambo, netype inoita kuti ndifunge ndiri mambo. But do I or should I start to mention zvinhu zvaindiitira chivhaira neaka complexion, hatsitana mutema mira hana reflection, semunhu asina mari akanipinza into depression. Picked up myself and I got into some action, $1 to $20, turning pounds into oceans. Now panondiona akwira into attention, beongoriwe wandopa loving and affection. But ndiwe hero kakadzira this decision, tikatadza kudanana kugarisana zvine precision, wakaita ukure dai takaita revision, distance yacho kakonzera division. Toita, best sip I'm nigga match for my microphone. Just with the cash records, triple V, double T, repeat and the rest follow. Nigga mazia my system mash, have fun on the chill.
DJ
Bona Scarf Zana Yeah, what's up, Popo? Hey Been tryna get to you, but the Vanyeva and keep it Popo. Now that I'm here, I'll be your protector, be on my Popo. Oh, nice. So pata gusentwana, so zengu patenjenga skoropo. I'll give you my heart. Baby, I guess it's your mother. Dire mukati chaiye, na siya na pato. Dinero raro no tapira kungero vamo mukoko. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Ona kunaka, mukoko. 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 When I'm just with you, I feel no tatella. They love you so much, bayagu kalela. I will not give up, please, Valela. I'm stealing your heart, me nangin jenga sela, but full of salela. Just cause I'm with you, bati huzapella. You set me free, you can call me Mandela. I will just love you forever and never, and shout out a love for my people. I will sing for you and make you my hubby. But you gotta treat me like a treasure, my lover. Oh, I will sing for you and make you my hubby, yeah, 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 yeah. But you gotta treat me like a treasure. You gotta treat me like a treasure. This is your moko. Dire mukati chaiye, na siya na neje pato. Dinero raro no tapira kungero vamo mukoko. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Ona kunaka, mukoko. 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 Tell you something I've been searching for, honey. Who will give me something extraordinary, baby? I've got loving for you, baby. Sweet loving for you, baby. Keep coming for it, baby.
I will sing for you and make you my wife, eh? Cause I've never seen such a beauty in my life, eh? I will sing for you and make you my wife, eh? Cause I've never seen such a beauty.
Baby, let me tell you something, I'll get to your mother. Dire mukati chaiye, na siya na neje pato. Dinero raro no tapira kungero vamo mukoko. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Ona kunaka, mukoko. 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 Kana uchida runuru no tapira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Uya uzwe kuna karabira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Kana uchida runuru no tapira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Uya uzwe kuna karabira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Kana uchida runuru no tapira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Uya uzwe kuna karabira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Kana uchida runuru no tapira iwe. Yokupa mukoko. Uya uzwe kuna karabira iwe. Baby, I guess it's your moko. Dire mukati chaiye, na siya na neje poko. Dinero raro no tapira kungero vamo mukoko. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Di bateru oko, baby. Ona kunaka, mukoko. 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 Ona kunaka, mukoko.
Next door pakupanetsaona ndarabatwa kavharira hapana chamaona timu yese yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenza ngaibude nhasi inotiona panext door pakupanetsaona ndarabatwa kavharira hapana chamaona timu yese yaungana wekamba yapata pamusika ndarapanda ukoyo kona patagarika senzabuda nasitoda kukutsika-tsika wacharabvisa washeni yausina kuyanika maibanda bp ambe atanga kupika mdara panda ukoyo kona patagarika panext door pamupanetsaona mdara batu wakavharira hapana chamaona timu yesi yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenzakaibude nhasi inotiona panext door pamupanetsaona mdara batu wakavharira hapana chamaona timu yesi yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenzakaibude nhasi inotiona imaje ndarabhanda achikwenya mapfeka achinzwa chaunga panze chiputika nekuseka dai yari manheru zvaisambooneka but zuva riri tii nhasi rakatojeka konhamba chiishedzai bnh metro panyaya dzakadai ndana gossip maestro mahwane akadai anopfuura fidel castro sichazirida kuimbwa ichimboshedzai shastro
pochichiri kuitika ndangobvawo kusvika hanzi ndarabhanda aomerwa panyika maibhanda vari kuva vange mudzimu wasvika hamndarabhanda umoyo pano hapachagarika
panext door pamupanetsaona mdarabatu wakavharira hapana chamaona timu yesi yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenzakaibude nhasi inotiona panext door pamupanetsaona mdarabatu wakavharira hapana chamaona timu yesi yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenzakaibude nhasi inotiona tengai majigisi tidye chakuda kubvondoka
kavhaine kusera nogona ngosvotoka
maibhanda vane nharo vari kuramba vachingonoka
zvakutoda vane pfuti nevagara makoka
vakwadza kunomakuhwa ona kwakutodoka
ngavatendere kumba varume vava kutodzoka
bhanda kana akapenga ngaajambe mudhuri
kujamba nepapu wangu yakakiya chihuri
senzabuda nasitoda kukutsika-tsika wacharabvisa washeni yausina kuyanika maibhanda bp ambe atanga kupika mdara bhanda ukoyo pana patagarika panext door pamupanetsaona mdara batu wakavharira hapana chamaona timu yesi yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenzakaibude nhasi inotiona panext door pamupanetsaona mdara batu wakavharira hapana chamaona timu yesi yaungana zvinhu zviya zvaoma hanzi nzenzakaibude nhasi inotiona kune zvakazoitika tererai zvakare muchirongwa tazoire cash records nadr clarence tichitaura isu kuti chipfeve upombwe ida upabudi
What up? It's Cook. Let's do it again.
Bring back my love again. Remember the talk that you keep up to the move up, Maxine. Nagagumirira, baby, love again. Remember the talk that you keep up to the move up, Maxine. Nagagumirira, baby. Pakakatirwa bonde. Vaifunga iwewe nene Ndafara pono huya Then I take you on this journey. Just hold my hand, just hold on tight. I wanna make you feel alright. Makatikati me moyo. Baby, hold on tight. I wanna make you feel alright. Mukati, bring back my love again. Remember the talk that you keep up to the move of Maxine. Nagagumirira, baby, love again. Remember the talk that you keep up to the move of Maxine. Nagagumirira, baby, Pama. I'll give you all my affection. Fichika time wakafichika. I'll you, baby. I'm waiting for you, baby. Mama shaka naka. Come quickly, baby. I'm waiting for you, baby. Oh, naka washika. Hey, love again. Remember the time that you cheated, take over. Moxie.
Kwakanga kuine vakomana vainzi Hatinzwaro vakazodomoka pavakaba mbembe ya Aisha.
mutashi. Iri rinoda mutashi. Iri ibisa saka rinoda mutashi.
There's a good one, I could see. Yo.
No problem, and I think we need to deal with it.
No, we need to take her to Prophet Passion.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Just from up here.
Abba.
Baba.
Serious.
Serious. Kiki.
Marcus music.
Duro. Oi. Ndagana changu chirauro. Oi. Ndotonga gara ndakutotesa. Muranda kazi chimbomira kuzvitongesa. Ukati ndiani kwachakutengesa. Nhau yako ndaiona yakakurisa. Uriwe tambo pakati sekenduro mandu yechinono. Une chuma mchuno. Zvawauya kuno, zvaiko zvino, muranda kazi. Shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate. 50 zvakaramba 60. 60 70 magate. Muranda kazi. Shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate. 50 zvakaramba 60. 60 70. Ravaraita kuti uite kunge kabudasharara. Kadash. Magate chete kwete madish. Kadash. Ukangoramba wakadaro. Finish. Muranda kazi we. Muranda kazi nekuti uri murizi teereresa kuita kusanganisa muranda kazi shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate 50 zvakaramba 60 60 70 magate muranda kazi shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate 50 zvakaramba 60 60 70 magate ndari yakaregarire urure ndiri mudhuze azvibude ndiri kure ndiro shairo sakare gari dhure ndakari yakandiri nechekumashure cheuka iwe cheuka ndindiriko cheuka iwe cheuka ndindiriko cheuka muranda kazi shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate 50 zvakaramba 60 60 70 magate muranda kazi shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate 50 zvakaramba 60 60 70 magate. Ndotongogara ndakutotesa muranda kazi chimbomira kuzvitongesa. Ukati ndiani kwachakutengesa ndaiona nhau yako yakakurisa. Uriwe tambo pakati sekenduru mandu yechinono. Une chuma muchuno. Zvawauya kuno zvaiko zvino muranda kazi shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate. 50 zvakaramba 60 60 70 magate muranda kazi shavera ko iri rekutambisa apa rinoda 50 magate. 50 zvakaramba 60 60 70 magati mangoma depoti levels ripe na fanta inini stalia yo jempi duro ndakanda changu chirauro oi
Whatever. You guys are like family majogi wala bashi. Dango charajo mandozi ya wala. Basi bafea. Dango eza morishi. Mazi leo wazi. Basi do it bro. That's what makes us, innit? No limit. Nakambo, dana na lista mskane garo mavuku ndikazosiyana naye transport ya inyanyonetsa ndaimu tamba na rosi aigara kuchipinge kondakarambira tsika dzekuninyeya nechindau asikana vaive nationwide vese vari vangu sihle bulawayo aifarira ma-ice cream mumwe hari kugwanda aingoda zvekufonerwa kamusikana kekugweru kaingoda zvokubvaira neni ndoda nasitana efika isini before but paisabhita musikana wangu wekumasvingo aindi chita sababa chindipa raisi rine dovi daizo sisirwa mvura nemusikana wangu kwamutoko ondi kwesha musana chindikwenura musoro kamusikana kekubhindura kaiwanza zvepolitics aizo chanita slogan tiri pakati perudo zvana viva nanaluta continua Type yakanaka ne type ine rudo type dzakasimba ne type
text nechido type dzinofadza kuremixira kanokambo netype inoita kuti ndifunge ndiri mambo. But do I or should I start to mention zvinhu zvaindiitira chivhaira neaka complexion handisitana mutema mira hana reflection semunhu asina mari akandipinza into depression. Picked up myself and I got into some action, $1 to a 20 turning pounds into oceans. Now panondiona akwira into attention beongo uriwe wandopa loving and affection. But ndiwe hero kakadzira this decision tikatadza kudanana kugarisana zvine precision wakaita ukure dai takaita revision distance yacho kakonzera division. Toita, best sip I'm nigga much for my microphone. Just what the cash records, triple V, double T, we bleed and the rest follow. Nigga, my system, hafana no chill.